start the recording, and then I'll just be a minute or so looking for something to talk about.
3, 2, 1. Attack commencing. Capture objective A.
I don't know what to do here because, like, if I flank, I feel like I'm gonna, or if I go up, I feel like I'm gonna die.
So what you can probably do is when they're very close, you can just kind of punch in, and then you have your other abilities to get out if you need them. Ability rotations is probably something we can go over, but the general idea is you go in, maybe you punch in, you uppercut, you slam out. And then you just combo the abilities together. One's to get in, the other two are to get out.
Okay. Uh-oh. I used the wrong button. I tried to uppercut out, but that was the wrong
So yeah,
button.
your basic ability combos, right? We can go over them more in depth in the training range afterwards, but your basic ability combos is going to be punch in, uppercut, slam back out to your team to get to safety, right? Or slam in, uppercut, punch out to get back to your team, right? Those are your basic combos. So you got to be careful about fully syncing your kit. Fully syncing your kit's when you use all three of your abilities. So there we just used all three of our abilities, but we ended up in the middle of their team. So then the question becomes, how the heck are you gonna how are you gonna stay alive, right? How are you gonna make it back out? And if you're just going in and suiciding for one kill, well, that's never a good thing on DPS. Going for, like, suiciding for a kill is just pretty much worthless. It's pretty much doing nothing because you're going 1 for 1, which is basically 0 for 0. Uh-oh. So yeah, instead of fully syncing your kit, I mean, that's not to say you can never fully sync your kit, right? You can fully sync your kit if you, let's say, if you're in a 1v1, or you have a massive advantage, or you have your ultimate, because your ultimate can get you out of jail for free, or you're like inside of your whole team, right? So really when it's safe, right? That's when you can do it. So just consider that, keep that in mind.
Oh, this Mercy's fire. Should I go for this?
Sure. I mean, note that I'm like 3-4 seconds behind what's happening.
Oh.
Yep. That's perfectly fine to chase after her.
Uh-oh. Nice. I don't need it.
When you're low, request healing. That'll get your supports to look at you sooner. Or we're kind of just walking around at 100 HP.
Okay. Okay. Okay, when should I use my ult? Because, I always try and piggyback it on Zarya's ult.
I mean, that's a pretty good time to be using it. Okay. Might recommend, if you're trying to be sneaky, to crouch around a bit more so you're not just like jumping around and making loud footstep noises. Everyone will be able to hear you that you're up here if you're doing that.
Okay. Thank you. Should I use my ult?
Well, I don't know. Are you waiting on Zarya, or are you going in by yourself with it?
Oh, I just got aimbotted. Oh wait, we don't have a Zarya. I'm good.
You don't have Zarya? Press tab. Or not tab, your sorry, your screen for it. I saw Zarya.
Oh, we do! Wait. Oh yeah. Oh, my fault. Alright. Sorry, I used your ult. Oh my. Where'd we go? Oh, that was my closest to a 125. No, get out of there! Oh.
Stink. Yeah, so there, gotta be careful about going back in without your team, right? If your whole team's dead, you're gonna die too, right? You can't 1v6 them. We might talk a little bit more in depth on that after we're done here, but just don't walk in if you don't got teammates with you.
Okay.
Okay. Probably use your abilities to get in back to the fight faster. Like, you know, we kind of walked back the last half. Okay, pretty good positioning with that ult. Though what we'll talk about before you ultimate, right? You can use all of your abilities, right, and fully sync your kit and go super aggressive because it's a get out of jail free card, right? You instantly become safe, right? And then while you're in your ultimate, your abilities charge back up. And I think they charge twice as fast, right, when you're in your ultimate now. I think that's a change they added in. So you get all of your abilities back by the time your ultimate's over, right? So now it acts like a dual mag effect. So you go in, you use all your abilities, you ult, and then you get all your abilities back instantly.
Okay. Yeah, so next time I'll just use all my abilities.
Yep, just go in super aggro and then just ult as soon as after you've done that. Okay. Good usage of the rotation there.
Who's on the point? Oh no. Nice. Oh wait, you're a few seconds behind.
Yep. Good job, man. All right. So yeah, we're definitely gonna have a couple things to go over after we're done here. One thing that I would say is ramp it up a little bit. Go for more. Right now, actions per minute seems a little bit low. So actions per minute is just like how much are you doing with your time, right? You know, if you look at a bronze player versus a GM player is gonna be constantly doing stuff. Of course, with mistakes, but they're going to be constantly doing something with every single second. Whereas a bronze player, they're going to kind of wander around and then go, oh yeah, I'm in a fight, and then go pew pew shoot shoot, and then take a 10-second pause, and then go pew pew shoot shoot, and then another 5-second pause, and then pew pew shoot shoot, right? It's just a lot more delays in your gameplay. There's a lot of downtime where like we have all of our abilities, but we're kind of just sitting there, right? And staring at them when you probably want to go in and do some stuff, right? So if you have all your abilities and you have all your health and you have no reason not to play aggressive, then go and play aggressive, right? Of course, you stay back if you're 1 HP or if you don't have your abilities, but if you have the ability to go and do stuff, right? So use your abilities, go in with a rotation. That's one of the good things, you know, how Doomfist operates is you just use your ability rotations. You go in, you go out, you go in, you go out, you go in, you go out, and you just do that on repeat, and that's how you get a lot of value.
Okay. Should I wait here and like do damage at the start?
You could. It's probably not gonna do a ton since you're so far away. I mean, you're gonna probably get what, like 0% on all charge, right?
Yeah, I got one. Oh wait, no, I think that was just from setting up. Hold up. Okay. What do I do here if like the whole team's just destroyed off the bat?
Probably back up, give them space, let your team give your team time to respawn. Do that. That's also acceptable. That's very acceptable to get kills.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Alright, what was the problem there?
I went too far, and I didn't have all my abilities to get out.
Went too far. Didn't have, you know, fully synced our kit. Didn't have the abilities to get out, right? So be careful about the over aggression. I think we might talk about aggression a little bit after we're done as well. But you know, just be careful about going too deep, right?
Yeah.
Because yes, you want to do stuff, but you can't do anything if you're dead.
Okay. Wait. Zarya is about my percent. Oh my. That scared me.
So here, maybe we can go a little bit more in depth on it, but it might be a good idea for you to be set up like top right-ish when you're kind of in between rounds or fights,
Okay.
because it just gives you really good angles to be coming into the fight from.
Oh my. Okay, I walked into a dragon strike.
Uh-oh. So in that situation, right, you can punch out of it, you can not walk into it, you can ult out of it, right? That would instantly get you out of it.
Oh, okay.
Another thing with Hog, what's your objective with Hog there? Was your objective with punching Hog to do damage or to stop his ultimate? Or both?
To stop his ult.
Stop his ult. So we had the ability to, because we like half charged it and he was close enough, but we kept charging it afterwards, and then that lost the opportunity. So don't
Okay.
when you're doing that and you're not going for damage, don't feel like you need to fully charge it, right?
Okay.
You only need to stun him.
Okay. Cool. I want to use it here. Oh. What do I do there? Because like before I could even get out of there, I was stunned.
Well, how did he get next to you in the first place without you knowing?
Oh,
Right? Like
I
how?
went too far.
Well, you went too far. I guess like let me ask it like this: what could you have done to know that he was there?
Here maybe.
Here, yeah, use ears, right? Listen to the fact that it's there, right? So audio awareness gives us the heads up ahead of time. Also, your whole team was dead anyways, so we'll go over that after we're done as well. But you shouldn't be walking in when you're when you're down half your team.
Okay. Go go go. Oh, I should use some of my abilities there. Okay, I think I'm okay. Oh, I went flying.
Nice. So once again, we'll talk. So you can fully sync your abilities, but also once again, your whole team was dead. So we will 100% go over that, like that whole concept after this game is over.
Oh. Um.
The payload has reached the chip.
What should I do when like they're at long range and this McCree's like beaming me?
Well, once again, your whole team's dead in that situation, so it's just get out, get out, get out, right? If you've lost the fight, we'll go over this, but if you've lost the fight, then the option is get out or let them kill you, right? But you don't want to keep trying to stay in if the whole team's out, because then that just kills you, and it
Okay.
ends up staggering you longer, which we'll once again go over. But if you had a long
Okay.
range from McCree, you're trying to close the gap, close the distance to get closer to him.
Right there. Oh.
Very nice.
Okay. Oh. Almost got out.
Uh-oh. When you're in like a duel with somebody who's at close range, firstly we focus a little bit on Mercy there when she's Valking and Hanzo is already rezzed. Secondly, when you're at like in a close range duel with somebody, you want to fully charge a punch because then you're gonna get headshot, right? But what you can do is just do like a quarter charge punch, and then that stuns them, that does some extra damage, right? So it's just handy in a duel to be able to do that.
Okay.
So, pretty much what you did there on McCree, except for, sometimes you could even do less if they're, if you're just stunning them.
Okay. Should I wait for Zarya's ult? Like she's like at 65% or 60.
Depends on if you see a scenario for it. If you see a good opportunity, then you don't necessarily need to, but you could definitely wait for her and then have a great combo.
Okay.
Probably could have punched him a little bit earlier there as well.
Okay. Oh, shouldn't go this far. I sent the Hammond flying.
Remember to request healing. Get them to look at you.
Okay. Wait, hold on, there's someone here.
Alright, just one more fight. I mean, we can talk about it afterwards, but I might recommend taking the high ground in between the fights.
Okay.
30 seconds remaining.
Like even the one that's like above you would probably be best, but it's not
Okay.
imperative as of the moment.
Uh-oh.
Good job getting around the corner.
No, not that way.
Aw, stinks. Just gotta be careful. Typically, if there's a bunch of people staring at you, going for a fully charged punch isn't gonna be the play, right?
Okay.
Because then they can very easily shoot you, headshot
Yeah.
you, sleep you, etc.
Oh, that's my teammate. Oh. Is there anything I could have done there?
Not a very favorable position. Not.
Okay.
I mean, always theoretically, but not probably nothing major that would have swung it very easily.
Mhm.
All right. High ground. So high ground. I'm trying to think here. There's a lot of visual demonstration stuff we're gonna go over afterwards here. Yeah. I guess for the moment I'll just say like make sure you're taking high grounds. I like you're starting to pick up the pace a little bit with how much you're engaging. That's good. Definitely, I think more than when we were on attack, where we're going slightly more. Just that's a good thing. It means we're doing more. Because the other thing to notice, if you take a look at at death count, we'll talk about death count as well after we're done. But 14 deaths so far, right?
Mhm.
You want to be able to go in and be aggressive, but you also want to stay alive, right? Because if you go in and you get a kill and you die, then I mean you didn't really do too much, right? But so we want to be able to go in and get out, and go in and get out, and go in and get out, and do it, get value while staying alive, and that's the objective. So we'll have a lot of things to talk about after this game is over on how to do that, when to do that, etc. Yep, pretty much.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attack commencing. Capture objective A.
How do I help when this whole team's like on the high ground?
Well, we gotta reposition ourselves, right? So we can go, maybe we can punch to go underneath them, and then we can rotate around using the stairs, or we can uppercut up there, right?
But there's a McCree up there. He's gonna stun me, right?
Well, when it comes to the McCree, you can combo him, right? It depends on how fast you engage on top of him, right?
Mhm.
Or you can also look to avoid him as well. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay. A lot of sitting around. By the time we even touched anything, Baptiste already ulted.
Mhm. Ah, I missed my punch.
Stink. Alright. Alright. So let's go over a ton of stuff here. I'm gonna mute up your stream, and then I'm gonna stream on Discord if you'd like to take a look.
Okay.
So, where to start? Firstly, how many deaths did you have that game? Was it 14? I don't know if you checked before you left. You didn't die at all on the attack, right? Yeah, you didn't die at all, or no, you died once on attack. So 15, right? 15 deaths. So let's start with deaths, right? Let's begin from there. So when it comes to deaths, note that each time you die, it's approximately 10 seconds of respawn time and approximately 10 seconds of walk back time, roughly speaking. So that's about 20 seconds per death, right? So if we did the math here real quick and we did, all right, 20 times 15, and then we divide that by 60, that means that that game we spent roughly 5 minutes of time dead, right? And in a game that, I don't know, how long did it last? 20 minutes? That means that you're spending a fourth of the entire game dead, right? Which is a lot of time where you're doing absolutely nothing, getting 0 value, but not only doing nothing, it's actually negative value, because when you're dying, in a lot of cases, you're putting your team at a disadvantage, right? You're making it more likely that they lose the fight without you. So, therefore, we want to look to cut back on deaths, right? That's a big thing that we're going to look to do. The 4 main things that cause deaths is going to be poor positioning, a lack of awareness, misuse of abilities, such as, if we fully sync our kit or something, right? And then finally, there's going to be over-aggression, right? Such as if we once again, like fully sync our cannon and sprint into their whole team and whatnot, right? Those are all going to be things that can lead to deaths, right? So, look to think about that, right? Think about staying alive, but it's, we don't want to just prioritize staying alive, because if we just prioritize staying alive, we can sit and spawn the entire game and never die, but then we're not doing anything, right? So it's doing stuff while staying alive is the objective. So, that'll make sense real quick before you go forwards. Alright, just checking once again. That all makes sense? Any questions on that?
I'm going in.
Alright. So, abilities. Let's run through those real quick. So you were pretty much getting it, right? Your ability combos are going to be punch in, right? Uppercut, slam back to my team, right? You can also do a slam in, uppercut, punch out, right? So we can do this while midair. So slam, but you're also going to shoot when you're slamming. And a lot of the times we kind of would not really intentionally go for the kills. We'd kind of like just slam in for the damage. So we'd kind of slam in, maybe go like that, and then we'd uppercut and then punch out, right? And that's what it looked like, right? We didn't really seem to go for it. But when you're slamming in, go for shots into somebody, focus on one person in particular. So we're going to slam in, we're going to shoot in between our slamming. Oh, he moved. We're going to go pew pew, and then we're going to punch out, right? So make sure when you're shooting, you're intentionally going for the kill, and then that's going to make it a lot more effective. Let's see, can we actually get a combo this time, right? Right, and then we're punching out to our team, right? We're not doing a full charge punch, we're just doing the short punch, right? Where we can go really far with just the 1/2 a second charge, right? The quarter charge. Continuing, you also have some other things to add in here as well. If you're really far away from people, right, we're all the way back here, you can close the distance using a bounce, right, to get much closer, and then we can uppercut and then engage like that. So let me actually show you what that would look like. This is slightly more advanced, but you can use it to close the distance. So let's see, are they coming out? Right. Alright, you can do something like that to close the distance on people. Right. Are you aware of I can't recall off the top of my head. Are you aware of the difference between how to do a slow slam and a fast slam? Or
No.
targeted and non-targeted? So if you notice, right, right here, no target. But if we jump off the edge here, you'll notice that we actually have a target, right? And it's just being in the air, right, is what does this. So really off of anything. We can slam off of this if we jump off this. You can't just jump up in the air, but if you jump off of pretty much anything, then that allows you to target. This is going to be a faster slam, allow you to be more accurate with it. But if you go for the slower slam, it's going to be a little bit less accurate and might offer you a bit more damage, but in a lot of cases faster slams could be more preferable because you have more control and whatnot over it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really handy tech to know because you can jump off of pretty much anything, right? So that makes it very handy to know when you can do each.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think let's continue here. High grounds. Look to take high grounds. High grounds is fantastic positioning, right? When it comes to high grounds, right? When you're up here, it all acts as natural cover. So they can see you, now they can't. They can see you, you crouch, now they can't see you. So that means that they can't damage you when they can't see you, right? So you take a lot less damage up here, right? You can be sneaky while up here because if they can't see you, you can sneak up on them without them knowing, right? You can crouch and get the surprise advantage, right? Which is what it allows for. So it means that you can jump on top of them and they can't react. So think McCree, right? If you're on top of McCree and kill him before he even notices you're there, well then that's a lot different from if you just go straight down the main angle, right? So if you're just coming, if the enemy team's there and we're coming from here, well then they see us coming, they can shoot at us, they can stun us, they can do everything. So it's not to say we never do that, but if at all possible, if we do something like
Stay out
this,
of my
well
way.
then they don't see us coming and we can just drop on their heads without them even knowing we were there to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
On top of that, high grounds give us a lot of visibility. We can see over here, and over here. We have a lot of options to work with. But when on a low ground, well, we can't really see over there, over here, over there, right? We just a lot less options to work with, and we can't see any of the high ground either. Okay. So that's a lot of the advantages of high ground, right? I'd look to take high ground pretty much
Rethinking
just
your life
any
decision?
chance that oh, sorry, also characters can't reach you, right? So like if McCree's on the low ground, how's McCree gonna get to you without taking the long way around the stairs, right? So overall, that's why high ground's fantastic. Look to take it whenever you get the chance. So you don't have to spend an hour trying to take it if it's out of the fight or if it's, if you don't have the time for it. But especially like in times where you're in between fights, right? So if you're in between fights and you have plenty of time to rotate up to high ground, right? We just kind of sit on the low ground. Whereas if we come up to the high ground, one of the best things for Doomfist is it just gives us angles to work with. It just gives us fantastic places to
I
come
was
at the
looking
enemy
for a
from.
challenge.
That all makes sense?
Wait. Hello?
Hello?
Wait.
Maybe your mic's only picking up like half what you're saying.
Wait. The screen's like a little glitching out. Hold on.
Minus? I can try
Okay. Yeah. It's
restreaming.
good.
Hello?
Okay. That's better.
Alright. Sounds good. So, to continue, let's do aggression. Scaling. I guess let's do awareness first. So, awareness. Watch kill feed. This is one of the most massive things in your last game, was that we would constantly go in and stagger and waste ultimates after fights were already lost, right? So if we can identify successfully when fights are lost, well then we can, one, not waste ultimates, because if, let's say for example, right, it's a 1v6, right, you versus 6 people, is your ultimate going to win that?
No.
No, not like, probably a good 98% chance it's not going to do very much, right?
Mm-hmm.
So probably don't want to be using your ultimate. Also, we would kind of just go run in and die in a lot of situations where we probably should just be waiting for our team, right? Because if, once again, if we're walking in 1v6 or 2v6 or 3v6, okay, well, what are our chances of actually winning that, right? What are our chances of doing anything? Pretty low. Not really going to be able to do very much. So let's walk through how do you tell whether or not you've won or lost a fight. Well, this comes down to watching kill feed, right? Kill feed is the top right. It shows you when you're up or down people. When you are up or down 1 to 2 people, and remember these numbers because oftentimes people will forget them. So 1 to 2 people, that is an advantage or a disadvantage, right? In those cases, you play extra aggressive or more passive, because you're either, starting to win or starting to lose the fight. But it's not hard set yet. If you are up or down 2 to 3 people, well then that is a won or lost fight. In that case, you want to get out if you can. If it's a lost fight, sorry, you get out if you can. If you can't, then you let them kill you. That way you do not stagger yourself. Are you familiar with that term?
No.
No? So staggering is when you die late. right? So die late kind of aside from your team. So if you die late after your team, well then your whole team comes out of spawn and they have a decision. Either A, they can wait for you, in which case you've just wasted a bunch of time, right? That whole 20 seconds of death. Or if they don't wait for you, well then they're going in at a disadvantage and they're more likely to lose the fight, right? So why would they want to intentionally walk into a fight where they're at, you know, a 40% chance of winning, whereas they might want to come into a fight at a 50% chance of winning, right? So it either in any circumstance it's going to be bad, and then that also can start staggered trains where, let's say you die, and then 2 teammates walk out of spawn and they run in and they die, and then 2 more walk out of spawn and then they die, and then it just keeps going in a loop-de-loop again and again and again and again, and that actually happened a couple times in your last game. So to prevent that from happening, well, one, you can communicate with your team, but you also need to stop yourself from doing it as well. And we did it fight after fight after fight. Is we would walk in and our entire team was dead, right? We had, you know, it was a 3v6, and we would just walk in and then die every time, right? And in those cases, we're not really accomplishing too much. You're not getting kills, you're not getting, you know, value, and then you're just losing and staggering yourself, and then that just wastes to a lot of lost time and then a lot of lost fights, right? That all makes sense. That one's a very, you know, big emphasis because that one's very important. It kept happening over and over again.
Okay.
You tracking with it?
Mhm.
Yeah, all right. So moving on to a little bit of aggression scaling. So aggression scaling is very similar to what we just talked about, right? Because awareness and aggression are very interconnected. What we just talked about was awareness, right? Now we're talking about the aggression side. When you think about your aggression, so when you go and when you stay out, right? You want to think of it as if you're on a scale. So at 50% is your neutral, right? That's where you kind of start every single fight. At 0% is your super passive. At 100% is your super aggressive, right? When you have advantages and opportunities, you're going to adjust upwards on the scale. When you have disadvantages, danger, and a lack of resources, that's when you're going to adjust downwards on the scale, right? So let's define a few of those, right? Advantages is something as simple, or there's more to it than this, but something as simple and as basic as kills, right? Let's say you're up a kill, right? You go from 50% to 60%. You're playing a little bit extra aggro. Go in and a little bit harder. You get 2 kills, well now you're up to 70%. 3 kills, 80%, and so forth, right? The opposite direction is disadvantages. Disadvantages would be down kills, right? You're down a player, go from 50 to 40. 2 players from 40 to 30, right? And then if it's, if you're down 3 players, well now you're going, it's a 6v3. Now you're at like a 30% aggression, right? Which is meaning that you're probably wanting to be backing up, getting out, right? Going and regrouping. Not trying to continue to go in and push at, we would have fights where we should have been at a 20% aggression, right, and backing out, yet we were going in at like 80%, right? So to continue, opportunities are things like, okay, we see somebody's isolated over here, so we're gonna engage and go aggro and kill the person, right? That's an opportunity. We have our ultimate, right? We have our team pushing, etc. Right? Those we can go extra aggro to capitalize on. You adjust downwards with disadvantages. And with danger, right? Danger is, okay, I have a ton of people shooting at me. There's a McCree trying to flashbang me. Ton of stuns in my way. Being low isn't always indicative of it, because I can be 1 HP and up here and perfectly safe. Or I can be right next to a Diva Bomb and very much in danger and full HP, right? So it's not always going to be indicative of danger, but it usually does affect it, being low, right? So just consider all the different things, and when you are in danger, then you adjust downwards. Right? Also, lack of resources. So resources are going to be things like your abilities and your health bar. If you're 1 HP, well, you probably want to be at like 0% aggression, right? You can't do anything if you're 1 HP. If you are, if you don't have any abilities, like you have 0 abilities, how can you go in? You can't play aggressive. Like, it's just impossible, right? And you're also going to be more likely to die if you do try to go in, right? So you adjust downwards. Some things to note is, yes, it's a lot of stuff to keep track of, but as you go about it, it'll start to become easier and easier and easier, right? You'll start to catch on. I would also note that like all this is don't hard lock into anything, right? You're not going to come into a fight and then stay at 100% for the next 10 seconds and then after that 0% for the next 10 seconds. Sometimes it's like that, but usually it's very fluctuant, right? You might come into a fight and you'll start off at 50. You'll see, oh, there's a kill I can go for. Let's go to 100. You get headshot, and then you're 1 HP, and now you're back to 0, right? So you just, in the course of, like, 1 second, went from 50 to 100 to 0 very, very fast, right? So just note that it's very fluctuant. That's about it with aggression scaling, right? It's very interconnected with, like, that, the kill feed stuff and just being aware of your surroundings. Right. That all making sense, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Trying to think. Why don't we talk application? Application of all the things you talked about so far, right? How do you put it into action? Putting things into action is, a little bit simple, right? It's the same way you really put anything into action, and that is that while you're playing, you're going to make sure that you're actively focusing on the things you're trying to work on. That means that you're not going to autopilot, you're not going to just kind of play to play, and contrary to popular belief, you're not going to purely play to win, even though you're trying to rank up, because that just means that you stagnate, you don't go anywhere. But when you play to improve, well, then you actually go places. And what that looks like within your gameplay is you're going to come into a game and you're going to think to yourself, let's just say, let's just pick something out, and you're going to think to yourself, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, right? Or awareness, 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 right? You're giving yourself a constant reminder to think about the thing you're trying to work on. And when you think about staying alive, or you think about your awareness, well, then you're probably going to be doing a little bit better because you're putting the attention, the effort, the thoughts into it. And then, when you do that for a long enough period of time, it forms it as a positive habit. Once it forms the positive habit, then you no longer really need to think about it as much because it just comes naturally. You don't need to put as much focus and effort into it, right? Then, besides that, right, you can move on to something else afterwards. And then my final thing would just be, don't try to do everything all at once. Pick out one thing to work on, one major thing to work on, and then if it's too big, 1 to 3 smaller things within a category. Sorry, I meant to say a category, or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm going in.
So let's see. We've got 10 minutes left here. Is there anything else? Do you have any questions at all?
I'm going in.
No. I think I'm good.
All right. Well, just for the funsies, I'm trying to remember, just since we have like an extra minute or two here. Just for the funsies, right, of things you can do. This is called object bouncing, when you bounce off of something. I mean, I didn't get a ton of distance there. But if you do that bounce at the end of your jump, as you're hitting an object, it can actually launch you upwards, right? So you can do this off of things that are kind of body level to you. So I'm just pressing jump as soon as I get to this, and then that's launching me up into the air. I can probably also do it off of, let's see, I can do it off of this right here. If I jump at least before I do it. This one's a little bit harder. Let's see, is there something else I can try to find that I can do it off of that might be a little bit easier? Maybe this. No. Sometimes you have to kind of know what you're looking for. I can definitely do it off of that cooler or those coolers. Right? See? Ooh, very smooth, instantly up to high ground. Other things is if you flick your head to the side at the end and you bounce at the end of a punch, you can kind of swing yourself to the side. So here, even though like they're all the way over there, we can kind of do an S shape here and attack because we're swinging to the side at the last second and kind of going in an S pattern there. That might be slightly harder to pull off on console depending on how high your sense is. I don't think it was super high, but just as another option. Something to be wary of is the fact that in an overhang, if you uppercut, it will launch you forwards. So that's something to be careful of. So just watch when things are above you. It can also be helpful if you're trying to move forwards faster, because it can launch you forwards. Or if you're in a room and you're trying to just have, you're trying to just mix up your movement, you can do this and it will launch you forwards or backwards. Though sometimes it can be slightly harder to just pull off intentionally. Yep, so there we go. Trying to think here. Bounced off of that, right? Alright, well now we can go into some of the end credit stuff here. So we're going to go over the main points of the session, do a quick review, and then wrap up from there. So ability usage, right? Abilities, just get into the rotations, right, with your abilities, right? Punch in, uppercut, slam out. That was something I probably should have talked about, is when they're applicable. But we're running out of time here, so maybe we have time at the end. But make sure to just be using those abilities. Don't fully sync your kit if you can't, right? If the opportunity isn't presenting itself, right? If you're supposed to be at 50% aggression, then you can't be going in and using all of your abilities because you don't have a way to get out, right? So use an ability to get in, uppercut, and then use an ability to get out, right? Fully sync if you have your ults, or if you have your team, or if you're in a 1v1, or if you have a reason why you can, go ahead and fully sync, that's fine, right? Let's see, what else is there? I think that's mostly it. We talked about a couple different techie things with punch and whatnot, right? You can kind of do that punch at any range. Slam, right? You jump off an object for the fast slam. Overall ability usage, probably say goes to about a medium priority for you to work on. Ult usage. Yeah, don't use it in won or lost fights. There were a bunch of times that we would go in and we'd ult when we had already lost the fight, right? That's just wasting it, right? Same thing if you use it in one fight. Also, fully sync your kit before you use your ult. Just use all your abilities. That means that you get kind of maximum value out of your aggression. Besides that, that is about it with it. I think the placement was usually pretty good. So overall, that probably went to about maybe a lower end of a medium for you to work on. Then you got your mechanics. Oh, that was one thing I was going to talk about, but we didn't end up going into one of the things I was going to talk about. Intentionally go for the kills, right? Sometimes we'd kind of just go in and then kind of shoot at some stuff vaguely, go like that, and then we'd get out, right? But intentionally go for the kill, right? Pick something out in particular, focus on it, try to get the kills. Actions per minute, right? Try to be, go in, right? Don't just kind of sit around, on attack. On that final attack, we kind of just sat around for the whole, for basically a whole minute, right? We went pew pew, we kind of moved around, pew pew, moved around, pew pew, and that was it. Right? But go in if you need to. Close the distance, right? Take high grounds, go off on the sides. This is we also didn't go over flanking or anything like that, but you can go off to the sides, take off angles, take flanks, get around the people, and then we can go in and get an aggro, right? That's how you would close the distance on like a McCree, for example, right? Make sure you're doing stuff, right? Don't just sit around. That's gonna get you a lot more value. But remember, you're not just doing stuff and and then dying afterwards. You're trying to stay alive. Overall, though, that probably goes to like higher end of a low to medium for you to work on. Moving on to your positioning. Take high grounds. Reposition to the best place possible in between every fight, right? Usually that's high ground. Take off angles, take flanks, which we didn't talk too much about. Use cover, which we didn't talk too much about. Guess that's it. We also honestly we probably could have gone more into positioning, but we didn't really. So overall, low to medium priority, right? Awareness / aggression, right? Watch kill feed. Watch your HUD, what's happening with your HUD. Press tab, watch what's going on in tab. Pay attention to your surroundings. Keep your ears open, keep your eyes open. Watch, look, listen. Pay attention to what the heck is happening around you, right? One of the biggest things is we had absolutely no clue when our team was dead, right? That was one of the most major things, and we'd go in again and again and again when they weren't with us, right? Watch kill feed. 1 to 2 is an advantage or disadvantage. 2 to 3 is a won or lost fight. Get out if you can. If you can't, let them kill you in a lost fight. Don't use ults in won or lost fights, right? Aggression scaling. 50% is your neutral. 100% is your aggressive. 0% is your passive. You adjust upwards with opportunities, and with advantages, you adjust downwards with disadvantages. with a lack of resources and with danger, right?
I mean the
Overall,
arena.
that was like a medium-high priority. That was pretty massive, right? There's a lot of stuff in that to work on. Finally, survivability, right? We ended with 15 deaths. Looking to stay alive is gonna like, just think about how much more uptime there is if you're, let's say we cut back on like half of those. We go down to like we go down to 7 deaths, right? That's literally adding in entire minutes of gameplay to our time. Minutes of gameplay that we can use for extra practice, for so much
Rethinking your
extra
life
value.
decisions.
That's so many extra fights that we're participating in, right? So many extra kills and ults and whatnot. It's just so much extra
Stay
value.
down.
Overall, that one is probably about like maybe, I don't know how consistent it is because I only saw one game. Why don't I say a medium? Maybe it's a higher end of a medium priority for you to work on, somewhere around that. So to put that all in order, number 1 was awareness/aggression. Number 2 was probably going to be survivability, as long as it's consistent. I don't know if 15's a average number for you, or if it's a above average number for you. If it's around average, then I would put it
Does
higher.
anyone
If it's
else
kind
want
of, if
to
you're
join
like,
me?
oh yeah, I kind of just died more than I usually do, then it can come a little bit lower, right?
I can read your every
Then number
move.
3 is probably going to be your, let's see, ability usage, then ult usage as 4, then 5 can be your mechanics, and then 6 is your positioning. Any questions?
No, I think you covered it all.
All right, glad I did. Let me stop the recording.